work on motivation goes back to psychologist Frederick Hertzberg. And Hertzberg talks about a two-factor theory on motivation. He calls part of motivation, he calls them the maintainers. Another part he calls the true motivators. Now, what are the maintainers? I have them illustrated for you on page 15. The maintainers are things such as a fair salary. People need to feel that what they are working for, they are being fairly compensated for. They need to have good working conditions. People don't want to feel like they're walking into an unsafe place, a dark place, a scary place, a place where they don't have access to restrooms and other amenities. People want to feel that the company they work for has fair policies. They want to feel that they are recognized, they have some status and autonomy. And here's something that's very hard to provide in this day and age. They want to feel there's some security in their job. People who feel like any day my job could be cut, that affects their level of motivation. People want to feel that they're getting fair treatment by their leaders. It doesn't necessarily mean they like their leaders, but they have to feel that they're being treated fairly, without discrimination, without favoritism. They want to have a pleasant work life. So they want to feel like when they come in the morning, someone says, "Hi, how are you?" Rather than ignores them. They want to feel like there's some friendly atmosphere, some camaraderie, okay? And they want to feel that they have the benefits they need, the health insurance and those kinds of things that make them happy. Now, all of those are merely maintainers. Now, you might say to me, "But Judy, aren't those motivators?" Not really. They are just the bottom line maintainers for motivation. Because, as we see, highlighters out, pleasant working conditions rarely motivate people. But unpleasant ones almost always demotivate them. It's kind of frustrating, isn't it? But it's true. Yes?
It's to the point I heard somebody saying, they should be happy that they have a job.
Yes.
They get paid, they have days off, they
Yes.
should be happy.
Yes. That's a typical remark that you hear so often. And it's just not relevant because all these things have to be in place just to maintain a working attitude. So now what do we do to get to the next step? We go to the next page. Let's go to the real motivators. The motivators are what drive people to achieve. And guess what reappears again on the top of the illustration? Security. It's a big motivator. Self-expression. So what do we mean by that? If I feel like I am able to express who I am in my job, then I'm much more motivated to do a good job. If I'm just someone who is not recognized and I have no way of influencing the work I do, then no, it's not going to motivate me. Achievement. If I feel like what I do makes a difference and I have a sense of completion, that's motivating. So in a lot of jobs that require repetitive action all the time, like think of the people who are folding the blouses and sweaters at Macy's. As soon as they fold them, what happens to them? Right? I mean, people come and go, "Oh, yeah, that's all right. I don't want that one." And this person just folded them all nicely. That's a demotivator because you feel like there's no achievement. So what you want to do as managers, you always want to think about where is the sense of achievement that my employees are getting from the jobs that they need to do each day. And sometimes we really have to search for that sense. It's not apparent. It's not something black and white. If you're painting, if your job is to paint a wall, you walk in, the wall looks awful. It's got fingerprints and everything. And then you get the paintbrush out, paint it, and Hey, that looks good. That's achievement. But is life always like that? I mean, especially when we're working with people, when our job is working with people, many times you hit your head against the wall, you say, am I getting anywhere with these, because achievement is so incremental, right, and slow. So it's not always easy to document achievement, and so we, as managers, have to help employees get that sense of achievement. Another motivator is advancement. And again, when we take a look at the generations, we know that the younger generation, the Generation Y, is very motivated by the opportunity for advancement. Previous generations might have gone into a job and say, hey, I like this job, I don't care if I get anywhere, But what we're seeing in a lot of our younger generation workers, they want to know from day one, how am I going to get from here to there? Because I want to get there. And I also want to get there in 2 days.
Yes.
Job interest and satisfaction. People will stay in a job that is poorly paying if they feel that it's interesting and they're learning. And that's why training is such an important part of motivation. When we offer opportunities for learning, training, coaching to our employees, they're more likely to stay with us because they're growing and developing their skill sets. Responsibility. This is different for all people. High-level employees are looking for responsibility. Some employees are not. And again, this is situational. You have to know your people to know who are the ones that are going to be motivated by more responsibility, who are the ones that are going to be intimidated and fearful if they have more responsibility. And finally, one of the words that we used earlier today, which is recognition. We had that in the very beginning of this empowerment program. We said that recognition is a key component for developing empowerment. And again, in a climate where salary raises are few and far between, that recognition has to be more on a personal basis.